Hello, welcome. Today I would like to share with you some of the key bindings I am using for CSGO. I spent quite some time on improving the combination of keys I am using to make the gameplay more smooth, quicker and more predictable for my needs. Of course, it's understandable that everyone will have his or her own preferences, so I don't suggest that it's the best possible way. However, this is the way I found to be most suitable for my personal preferences. I hope you will find here something what will be useful for you as well. First bindings which I would like to share with you are about how I use and buy nades. It took me quite some time to find the best solution here, because there are quite a lot of grenades which you can buy and use in Counter-Strike, and buying them in a very quick manner and then using them in the same quick manner was kind of challenging. I was experimenting with a buy approach where I was using one key to buy smoke, flash and hand grenade, for example, to have different combinations which I mostly use. But every time I was using this, either I forgot what combination of nades is on which key, or I was anyway forced to go to the buy menu because I wanted something different. Then I realized that the most useful way would be to have the same key mapped to purchase and to use of the specific nade. So once I learned that Q is for hand grenade or R is for molotov, I am able to buy or use them in a very persistent manner. So I never really think about which key to press. If I want flash, I just hit F. If I want to use flash, I hit the same F button. So I used Q, R, F, C and V for most common nades. Now after the recent update, I have also tagrenade and healthshot on G and H, to make it very easy to buy and switch to those nades during the gameplay. It's very useful. I think it's one of the best elements which I figure out. I've never seen before anyone else using or suggesting this, so I hope you will also find this very useful. Another important element is about switching to a weapon. Using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wasn't my best choice. I was always hitting the wrong button and I was never sure about which weapon I will actually get. And it was not very quick. Then using the mouse wheel, of course, to cycle through weapons was not great as well, because it was very difficult to stop or to hit in a consistent manner for the specific weapon. Then I realized that it might be useful to actually use the mouse wheel, but having roll to the up and to the down assigned to very specific weapons. So instead of scrolling across multiple weapons, when I move the wheel up, I will always have a pistol. When I move the wheel down, depending if I have a rifle, I will get the rifle, or if I don't have a rifle, I will get a pistol. And I click the mouse wheel to switch to the knife, which is also very quick and very easy during the gameplay if you need to switch to knife. I found it very useful and I think it's very handy. I know that some people use mouse wheel for jumping, so of course it's their preference. For me, this was one of the key elements. Also, when you are using AWP or other scoped weapons, you can quickly move mouse wheel up and down to unscope after the shot. So it's very similar to using a Q button by many people for switching to previous weapon. I use caps lock as a bomb key, where it's very handy, very close to my small finger, and X for dropping the weapon. I don't really use that much. I know that some people like to have bomb drop mapped so I still have control available here. You will see that I use shift for crouching. So again, up to your preference. I found those things very handy. For the reload, I use the 5th mouse button, so the front one on the side of the mouse. I think it's also very quick and easy to have it on the right hand. I also have clear decals bind to this button, so every time I reload, the scenery is cleaned a little bit. Of course, if you think it's not fine, you can just use reload. When I want to use Zeus, it's bind on Z, and the same like with Nades, I have both buy and use Zeus on Z. However, for some reasons, if you play casual, the buy part will not work. So if you want to buy Zeus, you still need to go to the menu. It works on competitive, I think, and I'm sure it works on deathmatch. So having buttons 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 emptied from weapon slot, I thought it would be handy to use them for some radio commands. I am not always able to use microphone when I play, but it's still important to have some communication with the team. So I use 1 for need backup, 2 for enemy spotted, 3 for enemy down, and 4 for sector clear. This is pretty easy to remember and pretty quick to use. If I play with people who are not really saying much, I use 5 to ask them to report what they see. And I use 6 when I play with bots to ask them to stay in the specific position. Bots will typically listen to that comment, however sometimes they can ignore, so it's like maybe 75 to 25% chance that they will listen to you. Still, it might be handy to keep them alive, so if you are hit, you might then take control over the bot because they will be staying in some safe place. O and P I use for standard radio commands, not that much, but if I need to use something else, it's still on the keyboard. For buying other elements of the equipment, this will of course be very personal. I did not make bindings for each and everything you can buy in CSGO. I just created those which I use from time to time and of course which I use very often. So like BACKSPACE for P250 or minus for fiveseven or Tech9. I will leave it to you. Of course, this is just my suggestion or my setup which I am using. You can use also numeric keyboard if you have it to make it easier. It's very handy to have a dedicated key to buy the diffuser and of course a key to buy Kevlar and helmet to make sure that, especially on the competitive matches, you can make a selection if you only want to have a vest or if you want to have vest and the helmet. Some other bindings which are also, I think, not that common, at least when I was looking for suggestions of other players. I use the 4th mouse button for walk, which is set up in the game for toggle. So when I click it once, I will start walking. When I click it second time, I will be running again. I think it's very handy because, especially when you are the last one alive, you just want to switch to walk mode to make sure that you will not be making any noise, and it is not that handy to have to keep the button. For duck, I have the shift button on the left, and here I need to hold to keep ducking, which is, I think, the way most people are using this. When I want to speak to my team, I use left alt, which is activating the voice. I have L for changing the scale of the radar. Typically I have it like 0.3, but sometimes with some maps you want to, especially if you go through the smoke, you might want to increase the scale to see on the radar where you are in much more details. the one button which is useful if you are planning to do a ninja defuse, when you want to enable game instructor to show you the hint where is the bomb in the smoke. I have it on the I button, and also I have this I button mapped on my mouse to the CPI switch button, so I can very easily enable the game instructor if I need it. The final set which I would like to share with you, I think this is pretty known. So I have a binding which I am using when I do some training with bots, when I open the map and I want to train smokes or flashes or molotovs. I have it on F1, and also I have a dot which is just giving me all possible weapons, so I can easily switch between them. They are just lying around me when I use this binding. I have couple more to place bots, but of course this is pretty straightforward, so I will not be adding this to this video. You will find all of those bindings, of course, in the comments, and if you like it, please subscribe and get back to my channel from time to time. Thank you and have a nice play.